To brew a batch of beer in Ollie Ops, first go up to our scheduler. Choose which tank you want the beer to go into, and then what day you want it brewed. Click on the box, and then go down and choose which recipe you want to produce, how many turns in the brew house it takes, and then hit schedule. Once this is done, you can go in and click on the green bar, which represents a unbrewed batch of beer, and then start your brew day. Here, you're going to want to make sure that your brew day is correct, and then this red box will appear if you are going to fall into negative inventory or not have enough inventory on hand to actually produce that batch. We know stuff happens in the brew day. You may be waiting on shipping before you actually receive the invoice into the system, or your grain may have arrived later the night before, and you're brewing early in the morning, and the first thing you want to do is get your batch going, and then you can go in and receive some orders. So with our system, we'll allow you to start brewing, and then after the explanation of a brew day, I can show you how you can fix this unassigned inventory. So first, hit start brewing, and then this will bring up your grain page. So this is the first thing you'll see when you log in. You'll see that you have unassigned inventory for our oat malt because we don't have enough in stock, and it will show up in red, and there'll also be a red dot next to it. For any other grain that you do have in stock, you can go in and be able to edit, change your poundage. You can also change your lot code as well. So you can see that we're using all of the lot 530 that we have on hand. But since we actually need 550 pounds, we'll also automatically make a second line for batch 601 for the extra 100 pounds that are needed. Ollie will do this for you automatically, but if you want to actually use that 100 pounds for another lot, you could go in and choose a different batch if needed. You can also enter notes at the bottom of the page, or have notes that are pre-populated that you'll see on the next page that will pop up at each time you are in the grain page for this recipe. And remember, all of these changes are only going to affect this batch and not affect your master recipe. When you go over to the mash, you can go in and enter your water volume for the batch, your mash strike temperature, or your mash pH. In the recipe page, which we will go over in a different video, you can also create multiple mash rests, and they will all pop up here as well. You can also leave all of these fields blank if you don't wish to use this to keep track of some of these fields. When you're on your mash rest, you can hit start and it will input your current time into the system. When the mash rest is done, you can press end, or if you forgot to press the button, you can also manually go in and change that as well. Same thing works for Vorloff and Louder. Just be able to hit the start and the end button for them. When we go over to our kettle volume, this will be how much beer is actually going over to the kettle, and will also affect your IBUs on the next page. Pre-boil gravity is what you're starting off in the kettle at for your gravity, and your wort pH. We can start filling out some of these fields, and down below you can see some of the notes that we have that are pre-populated in the recipe. So our sparge order should be at 264. Let's say we went a little over and we actually brought 268 over. Our mash temperature should be at 165 from our hot liquor tank. So let's say that we were a little lower, so our mash temp actually went to 154 in there, and our hot water temp was actually 164. And then our mash pH was 5.2. You can also enter in any of the other times and do any edits there as well. When we go over to our boil page, we can start our boil and end it the same way that we did with all of the other start and end buttons. If it's an hour-long boil, we're done at 6 o'clock. We can also go in and edit our whirlpool start and end times. Here on our hop scheduler, you can see we are set to have 5.8 IBUs if we're doing 5 2.75 pounds of Citra Lupamax at 5 minutes in the whirlpool. You can go in and edit this number as well. You can change your lot for your hops, change your poundage, but also change your alpha acids on the fly. So let's say that this lot of Citra came in at 16.5 instead of 15. We can go in and save that, and you can see that we jumped from 5.8 IBUs to 6.4. And then you can also have notes that pop up below there. Post-boil will show all of your dry hop, and then what lots and how much poundage is being used as well. This can be edited just like your boil hops and your grain. We also have miscellaneous items where you can add brewing salts, yeast nutrients, dextrose, anything else that you'd want to add to the batch. Lastly, you can go in and pitch your yeast. You could do this before you brew the batch, during this part of the brew day, or after the beer is already in the tank. We'll have a full yeast video that explains all of these different processes for you. I can go in right now and be able to choose a tank that I want to pull the yeast out of. So we're going to pull this from our yeast brink. And we are going to consume all of that yeast in that yeast brink into this batch. And then here you can add any custom fields that you'd like. So we can put in our pitch rate, hit save, and then that'll be the end of your brew day. Now, when we go back, we can look at fermenter 4, be able to see the batch that's in there is now in the tank. I always like to go back and add my lot number to the batch. Then I can see it on the tank, and then you'll also be able to say that you still have unassigned inventory. So when you go to your cost breakdown, you'll be able to see that we have no lot code for some of our oat malt, and it's sitting at 0 cost. To fix this, we can now go into our orders, be able to see the country malt group order that we had, be able to look into it, see that it has that oat malt that we're missing. We're going to be bringing in 15 pounds, and then we can receive that order into the system. We're going to receive it yesterday, and then we can go in and update our lot codes. I like to put my lot codes for grain as the date that they were received, update the lot codes, and then be able to go back into the batches, easily see what batch has the missing inventory because there'll be a red warning sign to it. Again, see that we have the unassigned inventory. Go into our brew log, go into the item that will be highlighted in red, go to edit, and then here I can now choose the lot that we just brought into inventory, hit save, and now all the errors for the batch will disappear. So now I can go in and package this batch and then be able to go on and sell the final beer. If you have any questions on the brew day, please reach out to us and we can help you out.